Hello, Nashville Arts Community. My name is Dana Parsons, and I'm going to be working with you today on grant application support. So this is a brief video, and it is the right time for you to look at this video if you're about to draft the questions or you're thinking about the responses. You've maybe started connecting with a person on your team about what the questions are and what the rubric looks like. And you're interested in maybe a little bit of assistance as you're moving forward with the application itself and with drafting those responses. That being said, we're going to dive right in. So we're going to take a look at 3 different spots today as you're drafting the application itself. One is about the beforehand, planning your responses. What kind of structures can we look at? What do we want to approach? What do we want to engage with to make sure that our responses are thoughtful and really taking in multiple perspectives as we're moving through that process. Then we're going to look at, while we're writing, what does it mean to make a response that's aligned with the rubric? How do I use the rubric as a tool to draft my response? And then we're going to look at the review phase. How do I, when I'm really ready to be done with this application, how do I still review it so that I'm maximizing my time in that spot? So as you're planning, a couple of things you want to take advantage of. The first is about the exploration of resources that are available. So you want to choose one or all that are best for you and the ways that you like to engage in a thoughtful, creative process. So a couple of resources that I want to let you know about that I encourage you to engage with. The first is about a grant submission guide. So similar to this video, the grant submission guide is a deeper dive into that application part of the process. It breaks down each question in the application, aligns it with the rubric, and then asks reflective questions that might help you get to the heart of what the question is asking, or provides multiple approaches and avenues to even start thinking about the question, the way that it's phrased, the way it's presented to you, that open net of what you could be thinking about. So that might be a really helpful resource in elevating the thinking around the process and really using the application as a tool to reflect on the organization, to reflect on the project and its purpose, and think about why are we doing what we're doing, and what can be better, what can improve, and what are the successes, what's going really well, and what can we celebrate here. So by engaging with that guide, you'll be able to use the questions and the rubric itself kind of as a tool for growth, which is really exciting. There's also a breakdown of the full process available through the technical video guide. So if you're kind of thinking about a synopsis of the grant guidelines, sometimes it can be a lot to take in the grant guidelines and its length. So that video is another way to access the information about what does the process look like. The recent public editing process allowed space for some changes in all parts of the process for multiple programs. So taking a look at that guide will also allow you to perhaps answer clarifying questions surrounding any of those changes. The other resource, of course, is to connect with human support. There's so much human support, and we're really excited to support you during this process. As a reminder, staff are not the folks who score the applications directly. They're not a part of the evaluation process. Rather, they guide it and oversee it from an equitable standpoint. So it's really outside panelists that are doing the scoring and the evaluating. So it's really staff's job to assist all of you to submit the application and make you feel really great about what's gone into the application itself. So feel free to connect with staff about that. We have specific grant clinics. That information is going out in Arts Alert, and it's going out in your emails and social media and other forms of communication to allow you to look at specific 30-minute chunks to work directly with myself or with another staff member about your application specifically, looking through it, tweaking it, elevating it, answering questions, just kind of this open space to really hone in on your needs in the application process. So sign up for a grant clinic. We'd love to talk to you. And again, really specify it to what your needs are. The other part in the planning, and this is really important and not a common avenue that's taken, is to collaborate, right? So often, there are roles within organizations or within artist collectives that really create a single lane for development tasks. But when we're looking at an application that's designed in this way, it's really a moment for collaborative reflection in order to answer the responses in a way that makes the process also meaningful for the organization, and gathers as many perspectives as possible kind of on this planning end to then communicate the responses in a way that really captures a bigger picture and really captures a greater understanding, because it's moving beyond just a silo of one person. So here is an ideal picture for you about when you're getting ready to write your Metro Arts grant. The entire staff of the organization gathers around a table after a staff meeting, and we walk through the questions together. Somebody takes notes, maybe somebody records, and we use that as a brainstorming and starting point to answer every single question in the application. It really provides an exciting foundation to explore those questions, rather than, again, that just kind of siloed mindset of what is the funder looking for. And although Metro Arts and other government agencies are philanthropy, it's very different in the way that the transparency is communicated. So try that roundtable discussion and see how it goes. And the other part, of course, is pacing. It's really hard to kind of get a total application drafted in one sitting. So I wouldn't recommend that. And we definitely want to be able to leave space in between drafts or parts of drafts to kind of revisit it from, again, multiple parties. So what does your pacing look like? Maybe you want to set some calendar reminders. Maybe you want to already invite folks to review it collaboratively, whatever works for you. So a couple of things to think about on the front end. And then as we move into the actual application itself, again, I'd recommend the grant submission guide document for a deep dive of what we're really looking at on this slide. So connecting the rubric to the response. So a really great way to look at that is reading the question and then reading the outstanding response in the rubric, and then doing a self-check. Am I communicating information here in alignment with the criteria and with the question? Kind of giving yourself that self-check, can you check off both of those boxes? And understanding that there's nothing about how the information is communicated in the rubric. So it is very intentional that things like punctuation, spelling, capitalization are not included in the rubric, because we know that the access to academics is part of privilege. So when we're looking at the response to an answer, we're reviewing it and we're writing it and we're drafting it and we're critically thinking about it, we really want to hone in on the what that is being communicated. And we want to encourage you to expand in your mind, not even go outside of the box, but just like totally get rid of the box when it comes to what that answer could be like. Allow what your project or what your organization does to open exploration for what that answer could be in alignment with what is an outstanding response. So how uniquely is your organization exemplifying that evaluation criteria in connection to the question? And if you find that that criteria or question leads you somewhere else that's really exciting, go with that. So embracing the what over the how, and kind of feeling any type of pressure to fall into a historical archetype of what a grant should look like. And really, how can you let the impact of the words like jump off of the page, right? And just get yourself excited about the work. And you already are. And finally, as we move into the review portion of the draft itself, here's another point to embrace the collaborative process. And I'll say too, what if one of the reviewers of your draft is someone who actually has minimal understanding or information about the project or the organization. That type of feedback, which is sometimes the perspective of one of the panelists reviewing the application, it can be really helpful in the review stage of the process and can allow you to make some more transparent, purposeful, specific tweaks when it comes to even just describing the what, describing the work, describing the project, describing the organization and its purpose, any of those things. And again, we so often kind of skip the review step when it comes to timing and pacing, when in reality, when we read that draft, especially in a collaborative way, that's when we're able to elevate what's happened. And what we really want to talk about when it comes to the criteria and the evaluation of it. That being said, please take advantage of your resources. Please connect with us. We love to talk to you. It is our favorite part of every day. And accompanying this video, we'll make sure that there are some direct links to all of the resources that were mentioned in that first slide, as well as some email addresses to connect directly with us. We hope to see you at our upcoming grant clinics, and we can't wait to continue to collaborate. Thank you.